just started to record because that's a question I have. How many new players do you have that you've never coached before?
I've only got three players that I've coached.
Okay. So you mentioned you have to teach them to adapt to your coaching. I just like you to explain that a little bit because everybody coaches different and different style. And go ahead.
It's not them adapting. What I do is I've got five coaches that I've coached before that Jim and I, have worked with before.
Yeah.
So, and I got one that we coached, but she's never coached with us, Brooke. So what I did is I think they're capable of doing some drills I haven't done with this level.
Yeah.
So what I did is I took three three drills and I sent all the write up and the video to the girls and I said, I want you to run this. I give them 12 minutes
Yeah.
and they took turns running it.
They've been working for you with a few years.
Not Brooke. She's never coached before.
So you've got a first year coach. Good. Good for you. That's one of the beauties of coaching that age. You quite often get coaches who are just finished playing and they like the game enough to come out and give all their time. So,
Yeah.
but speaking of, your staff and over the years when they started out, um, what were the things that they had to sort of catch on to that you tried to guide them towards in terms of your coaching style? Because I think
Oh
they
well,
go ahead.
one thing Brooke got there, and the board. She's going to show the drill on the board, and she turns her back, and I said, "No, Brooke, face everybody with the thing in front of you, so
Yeah,
people can hear you." And I don't like this. A coach puts their back to you and talks to the wall, you know, and half the people can't see. So that's one thing. And then the routine. A routine, it's really important to deal with the pucks.
yeah,
So when one drill's over, you tell all the players to put the pucks at the forward blue line or in the corners or something. It takes them 5 seconds.
yeah,
I did this for 8 years at University of Calgary. It drove me crazy. Skating around, moving the pucks when 25 guys there would have taken 2 seconds to shoot them in the right place.
yeah,
And then the coach is describing the drill, and I'd get there just before practice. So I had no pre-practice run through, right?
yeah,
And then the explanation be over. I'd be all of a sudden the drill, so I didn't know what they were doing. And the coach wants you to say keywords and that, and you're sitting there and you don't know what the point of you know,
yeah,
the whole thing is. So that's the whole thing is I do not want assistant coaches moving pucks.
yeah,
I want them there listening to what, and everybody has a role. Like Brooklyn went and started moving pucks. And I said, Brooke, come on. I said, because the drill that Emily was showing, the coaches had to put the puck in for the D to go grab it.
yeah.
And she wouldn't have known that if she's moving pucks. So, so those are some of the things, that they have to know and they have to be involved and talk to players when they come to the lineups, not just stand there and watch.
Yeah.
So, so there's those are if you're gonna go on the ice, you gotta go on the ice with a purpose, not just to be there.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of things I'm trying to show them.
Yeah.
And we're still in the evaluation. We have 25 players. We got to get Saturday night we play Kyle's team and we have to get down to our number to 20. And there's a bunch of them that are really, you know, they all bring different things, but y'all could probably play as fourth liners or third pair D,
Yeah.
but we got to decide which ones suit our team the best.
Tom, you mentioned fourth liners and third parodying. And then over the course of the year, at least at our age, and I'm sure at yours, you've had kids that you started out as third, fourth liners that ended up improving amazingly. And that's because you gave them an opportunity to play. Can you talk about some specific examples of kids that, you didn't know about, you weren't sure on, but in the end they surprised you?
Well, what happens is at the start, of course, you got players that aren't at the level of the top players on the team, right?
Yeah,
So that's why I mean fourth liners right now. That's kind of the role they start. But if they practice and they catch on and all this kind of stuff, and this age group that I'm coaching, they shouldn't be together. Like I don't know what happened. They got rid of juvenile hockey years ago. I think it's because all the provinces went to an 18-year-old drinking age.
yeah,
So half the team in juvenile could drink and the other half couldn't. So what they did is they got rid of juvenile and they added a year to junior and they added a year to midget.
yeah,
Now, these poor girls trying out for U18, there's 3 years. There's girls, basically the grade 10s, 10th graders trying out against 12th graders.
yeah,
And it should be U20, U18, U16, because U15, I taught junior high 22 years. I got a pretty good idea. And Alberta's one of the only places that junior high, that grade 7, 8, 9. Most places, grade 9 is in high school. And that's because that's where they belong.
yeah,
Grade nines are young women, basically, the average, there's always each way. And grade eights are still girls.
yeah,
And maturity wise and physically and mentally, they're different animals.
yeah.
So you start off, and that's why last year in the provincials, a bunch of like it's really hard for a first year like a grade 8 to make the team because they're way smaller. So I know one of our girls last year, she grew 4 inches during the season, and she was our most effective player in the provincials. And she started off, well, she was just so small, she wasn't that effective. And so you just bring them on, and hopefully, if they want to be players, you run practices that'll help them. And the ones that want to get better do get better.
Oh, I think at that level, I haven't seen anybody that didn't want to get better. Every time I go and watch a practice, the girls are so dialed in at the U13 level, and the more you go one on one and compete at practices, they love it. And they talk about so-called elite hockey, and I think it starts with just loving to be there and wanting to be there. And every practice that I've watched, and it's a lot to do with the coaches. The practices are high tempo, they keep going, and each coaching staff interrupts the drill to make key teaching points. And I wonder if you could give an example. Maybe you can think of something last night where you ran a drill and you maybe stopped in the middle and pointed out a detail. Because to me, that's the art of coaching. It's not just doing the drill and getting mad because they couldn't even do the drill.
Well, no, you got to be out there coaching hockey, not coaching drills. So a few times I stopped them to tell what the point. Well, what we play in a 1-on-5 league. You know that. So we're playing Kyle's team on Saturday, who has three really good 1-on-5 players, and so we're doing a drill where the defense has no sticks. They leave from the middle, and the forward's got a puck, touches the blue line. The defense has no puck, touches the blue line. They go together, D closes a gap, and it goes 1-on-1. And as soon as they cross the blue line, the other side does it. But the D has no stick. So first of all, I taught them the drill, so they're doing it. Then after everybody had had a few reps, then I called all the D down, and I went over what the key points are. Like some of them are hardly even coming back from the blue line. They're giving them this huge gap.
Yeah,
Now they're at the mercy of the forward. And I told them that by the blue line, if they had a stick, they'd be able to touch the puck with the stick. They can't be waiting top of the circles for it.
yeah,
And then so your job is not to get the puck, your job is just to block them from getting to the net, stay in their way. And then if I said once they shoot, you have to stay with them and box them out. And if you had a stick, you take your stick. And I said, and if they beat you wide, and I showed them if they beat you wide, if you follow wide, you got to turn around a 3/4 turn to chase them. They're going to beat you. So if they beat you wide, you take a 1/4 turn and you head to the near post because that's where they're going,
yeah.
and you take a shortcut. So those are points I made, and then they went back to doing the drill, and then you know just talk to them when they come to the bench.
Tom, Team Red U13, Will and Jamie, they did the same drill you did, but players went from each side. They weren't D or forwards, they were whatever. And just get me right here if this is right. The one player, you throw it to one side, the player has to take it to the blue line, the other player has to touch the other blue line, and then go at them. And it ended up being a forechecking drill for the forwards, a surfing drill for the D, and at a few times it became a play the rush drill with gap control. And
But we weren't. I've done that too. That everybody does it,
yeah,
but I want to coach the D some because we're playing 3 games on the weekend, and I've got 8D and I've got to cut 2D. So I want to make sure they know how to play one-on-one properly because if they don't, they won't make the team.
yeah,
So now they've been coached on it. How much do they put it in practice?
yeah. Hi, Hal. How are you this morning?
Well, I'm upright, so that's good.
How are you
Are you
feeling?
feeling better?
Huh? I'm,
Are you
it's,
feeling better?
I am. It's a little slow right now. I mean, it's first 3 or 4 days, a lot of getting better, and then now it's just time now.
You're looking a little tired.
Yeah, that's kind of when they cut your gut open and pull it wide open like this, like this.
They didn't just scope it, eh?
The first surgery was laparoscopic,
Yeah.
and they messed it up,
Oh, it's not
and
good.
so I had to go to the hospital. I was there for 6 days, and
Yeah.
that was brutal. So I'm not alone. I know Wally's had some serious health issues, and you know, they tell me I'm going to be fine, but it's just going to take another month or 6 weeks till I really feel fine. So
Yeah. Well, it's usually at least 6 weeks. Yeah, really bad things are usually 12 weeks.
yeah,
I know when I
so
ripped my quad off and they put it was 12 weeks.
when the good news is hockey doesn't start till October 30th, so I got 6 more weeks to go.
Not like here where the Maniacs start mid-August.
Yeah.
To
Well,
playing
uh,
exhibition games now with
oh
his
yeah,
U15s, and he's got to like I don't know 25 players. He's got to get rid of a few,
yeah,
and he was talking about the typical neutral zone drill where one player goes to one blue line, the other to the other. The one who goes to one retrieves the puck and then attacks, where the other one has to go to the far blue and get up and set a gap.
right,
And I'm sure everybody's done that drill, but for the first time, when Will Pozo was doing the drill with Jamie um, with the U13s, I don't know if because the girls were so good or the way they explained the drill worked out so well, but the forwards all the it was mixed up, forwards on forwards or D on forwards or whatever. They didn't care. They all had to figure out how to play the rush, and quite a few forwards forechecked, some D surfed,
Oh,
and some people played the rush going backwards.
yep.
And Tom said he did the drill last night, so I wanted to bring that drill up because Tom, that the idea of you are playing a team that uh, the coach he got the luck of the draw and he knows the players and he literally drafted the top individual skill players in the team and they tend to play 1-on-5. So you've started to coach to compete against that with that particular drill. Can you
Well,
talk?
they played on last Sunday and they won 3-1. And all three goals were shorthanded because those girls picked up the puck and went through everybody and scored.
Yeah. Hell, I don't know if you've ever encountered this, but I coached this team with Kyle in the provincials, and they were playing against Lloydminster, who was undefeated. And every goal they scored against us, they were shorthanded
Oh,
because they put out their best players.
yeah.
So power play was a disadvantage for us. And you can't sort of deny the penalty and, oh, we won't take it. But that was the reality of that competition. Um, you might have put out your best players on the penalty kill, but it might not be good enough with those superstar players. So
Well,
maybe
then
this is a good time to talk
well,
about this strategy because growing up in Canada, I know at U11 and U13, there's always some teams that have players, especially in the rural areas, that are unbelievable individual players. And they simply, at will, go coast to coast. Now, I don't know if you encounter that now, but Tom is encountering that with a few of the skilled players in this elite league, and he's got to sort of coach against it. So, Tom, for back in my day when I coached against those type of players, and I didn't coach, I was mentoring. I had, you guys know the game, you got to go green light, not green light, red light. They have to try to get to the other end without getting tagged. British Bulldog,
Yeah.
you're all, well, I would have the best player go against the five players and try to go end to end, but the five players lined up in a claw. And the first one steered them, and the other one were ready to cover any gaps that were created. And that's a strategy I would have tried to encourage. Never got to do it because my coaching years have gone by me. But that's going to be a big thing with the teams that play against teams that have these players who are going to just get out and sort of do what they want. And have you encountered that hell over the years?
um, on the girls' side, yeah, it's real. If the pressure for kids to score goals and do things is, and on coaches, so their girls can win, state awards. They just let them go. But I know that over the past few years, we've scored a lot of shorthanded goals. So I was going to mention that, should you put your best five players on the ice to kill penalties, when I had Blake Wheeler, I learned really quickly, and I mean, he was on his way to the National Hockey League. He had no interest in playing defense, zero. And he'd go out and try to strip the puck from the D. The D would just step around him, and now we're two men short. So the strategy was to keep him on the bench. And as soon as the penalty was over, then we'd put him out. And actually, Don Lucia at the University of Minnesota did exactly the same thing with him after I talked to him about it. So, because, there wasn't a defensive bone in his entire body. But your tendency would be, for most coaches, would put a kid like that on the ice, who's 6'3", long reach. But yeah, that's the battle. So the interesting thing we're going to have this year is I'm going to have 18 or 20 girls. But we don't have any playoffs. There's no championship. It's purely developmental. So we're going to lean into this, getting away from 1-on-5. Um, but it's kind of, um, so what do you do when the other team's got a superstar? And I've done this before. I'll take my fastest skater and I just say, just cover that player. Just don't let him get the puck.
Well, what we
And
do is what Florida does. We just back pressure the puck carriers. There's always a defensive 2-on-1.
yeah,
That's how they shut down McDavid. So
oh
it's all,
yeah.
you always got two players there, and then of course we worked on the 1-on-1 technique, so they're not fishing for the puck because they get beat all the time.
So you back pressure the puck carrier. Yeah,
Yeah,
you take away their creative space.
it's hard for them to cut back and all that then, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
someone coming from behind, and if the D does get beat, there's a forward chasing them down.
Well,
Yeah.
Tom, I wanted to talk about McDavid because he's one of those players that was minor hockey who would be 1-on-5. And I thought that Florida not only back checked well, more importantly, they were able to stay up in the neutral zone and maintain a tight gap, and they never let him build up speed.
And they got on them right away too.
Yeah, and the idea of not letting them get building up that speed and tightening the gap in the neutral zone versus backing up and letting that speed burn you, I think that's something that you have to consider. And hell, it's changed my whole thinking on playing rushes. And to me, surfing, 1D, the far side D comes across. He gets a good angle on that guy. And your neutral zone forecheck, so to speak, is what we're talking about because your D are playing tight gap, and they can't play tight gap without forwards back.
Right.
Does that make sense, Tom?
Well, I think people's tendency when they're afraid of a player is to back up like crazy and give them all kinds of space to work with. And I was telling my players last night, because a lot of them were doing that. And I said, you're in control if you have a tight gap. If there's 10 feet between you and the forward, they can do whatever they want. So that's the challenge. First is to get the D to play as tight a gap as possible, and then get back pressure on the player. And usually, you know, usually that works really well. I know last year people didn't score 1-on-5. The top scorers in the league last year hardly ever scored on us because we do that. We take that 1-on-5 player away.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to pass the puck, and if you got and the goalies can't be letting in crappy goals. They got to stop the long shots and that.
I kind of figured out a long time ago, actually, it's like coaches tell these, tight gap, and the players don't do it. And I got to sort of trying to figure out why. And the reason is they're afraid. They're afraid they're going to get beat and they're be embarrassed. And they're going to, a goal's going to get scored. The goalie's going to be mad at them. The parents are going to be mad at them. The coach is going to be mad at them, right? And so it's just easier to back up and, let that player come into the house and hope. that they don't score and hope they get some help, which they typically don't. So what I started doing with the girls, it was about 3, 4 years ago, I just say, look, it's okay if you get beat. What if you get beat at the red line? Your partner should be over there helping. I mean, you might, where would you rather get beat? Out in neutral ice or at the face-off dots down inside, right? Because you got all your rush, you got another 4 players on the ice that can cover for you. And I think trying to take the fear of failure out of their mind and talk to the others about the group defending against them, it actually works pretty well. So
Outstanding points. And
You should have seen
Tom,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, this weekend we played 2 games against this Okotoks team. And the first game we got about 40 shots. We outshot them about 40 to 20. We won 9-3. And their goalies were basically playing dodgeball. And it probably should have been about a 5-3 game. Our goalie let in one. We still have three goalies. And then the next day, we won in overtime. We outshot them 62 to 20. And their goalie was lights out the whole time. And so it's funny how games go and the score doesn't always indicate the play.
Yeah. Now, I want to get back to this point. Here we are, sort of trying to team defense, playing the rush. And Tom, that one-on-one neutral zone drill, forecheck or surf or play the rush. I think to me, the biggest fundamental mistake is we do these drills, but we don't teach the D 2 things. And all forwards have to do it. Now, the first thing is you're skating forwards and you all of a sudden have to go backwards. Now, if you're surfing, you just keep going forwards. But the ability to go from forward to backward, I like the turning of the toes, the unweighting, and getting into a stride pattern. That's a skill in itself that needs to be worked on. Now, Tom, you work on that skill in that shoot up warm up drill because they go with the puck and they go forward and backward, and heel to heel and around another pylon, up to a pylon and
No,
transition.
we don't go around pylons. I don't use pylons.
Well, good job.
Top of the circle to the blue line.
Yeah. But if you don't, well, nobody teaches it. And I've worked with pro players and the national team players on that transition pivot. Now, I don't think your girls need to do that yet. They can just practice it with no instruction. But I've had to take national team prospects and teach them how to transition efficiently and use a hard C cut and maybe allow one crossover. I mean, that's a tactical skill at elite levels that needs to be taught. I never saw it taught until they were with the national team, men's and women's. At your level, Hal and Tom, the thing they can't do is stride backwards. So you got to find that gap, and there's not just a vertical gap, there's a horizontal gap. And we teach them to align the D's outside shoulder to the forwards inside shoulder. Is that pretty common, guys?
Is for me.
Okay. And Dave King with the national team, he identified that gap that way. He called it the vertical gap.
Yeah.
Now, the horizontal gap depends on where you are in the ice. You're skating his speed, and that's where the 1-on-5 players are much better. And the players who can't skate backwards, and to tell you the truth, I haven't seen many players that can skate backwards uh,
Yeah.
at the elite level in the league I'm watching. And so they have to do some backward striding, striding only, deliberate C cuts, and it's not C cuts anymore, Al. It's a J stroke, using your whole blade, but push to the side and bring that foot back under your body to balance with. And um,
Well, we would call it swizzling
yeah,
rather than rather than this. It's this. If they work on it, they should be able to skate pretty darn fast. But they got to work at it. It's but then you're also in a position to now surf really easily because it's just a step out and go. So I've been watching some surfing videos,
yeah.
and they're God. I think it's really great. But my fear is, and I've seen some stuff where guys are saying, you don't need to teach them to backward skate, just surf. I'm going, well, that's silly, because sometimes surfing isn't the right solution to the problem, and that's all neutral ice stuff for the most part, or neutralized to the top of your circles. But if you can't skate backwards, you're going to have a problem.
Now, I want to get back to that term scissoring.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of that as repeated C cuts.
Yes.
It's not crossing under and over to go change direction,
Right.
because when you cross your feet, you're beat in
Yep.
any sport.
Yep.
And so there's a years ago there was a coach in Boston University men's team. Every Monday they had D days where the defense worked on their tactical skating skills. Exactly that, Hal.
Yeah.
I didn't call it scissoring, but they played rushes where
Not scissors, it's swizzing or something. What would you call it, Al?
Swizzling.
Swizzling.
Swizzles. Yeah.
swizzling. Okay, thanks, Tom. And what it means is two C cuts so you can get that vertical gap that way, as opposed to crossing your feet to tighten the gap up that way. And the importance of striding and the key teaching points, Tom, and I brought this up. I bring this up all the time is just having them stride the length of the ice. Sit tall, ride a horse,
Yeah.
because they lean forward and they're pulling an anchor.
Yeah.
And then I'm saying C cut only, J stroke only. And if they do that, no crossovers, strictly working on striding, and the arm action for striding backwards, it's not sideways, it's north south, punch
Yeah.
and pull.
Yeah.
And if coaches did a little more of that, if they did backward laps around the rink and worked on sitting tall, riding a horse, no crossovers, north south arms, repeated a few times, I think you're going to solve a lot of the problem on playing rushes. They're going to get
What
frustrated because they don't know how to skate backwards and transition skating. They might forget how to skate backwards because they're going to only forecheck anyway.
what Johanny did to get the posture, they had to hold their stick up behind their head, you know, so that they're erect and not leaning over,
Yeah,
to get the posture and, say this is a position you should be in.
yeah.
So what you're calling riding the horse.
He had them stride backwards that way.
Yeah. Because it straightens your back up
Yeah.
instead of leaning over top of your skates.
Any
So
other ideas, Hal, for uh, backward skating?
Well, it's, you get one or two, You start with the C cut, maybe a cross under or two to get a little bit of speed. We go into the swizzle. And then if you have to transition, you open your hip. So if you got an attacker coming up the outside, instead of crossing over, you open your hip and point your toe where you want to go, and push off on that inside leg. But you got to push, not just step. You've got to really push. Otherwise, you lose way too much momentum. But it is much faster of a transition from backwards to forwards doing it that way than it is to step across. If you step across, a good forward is going to see that, and they're going to come right back inside on you, and you're going to be watching. So, yeah, these are important skills.
See, you've worked on that in a detailed way. The
Yeah,
coaches that we are working with, they haven't. And I think keeping it simple, that backward striding only is a start. And if you can reinforce teaching points, they'll get better at the backward skating. Now, Tom, you do some rush drills and you had success with their skating because they had no sticks, the defender. Can you talk about that?
Well, last night, that's what I had the defense do is right now I have 8 defense. So 4 on each side and that drill we talked about, the puck carrier goes back where the puck touches the blue line, the defenseman touches the blue line. Defense got to come and close the gap, and it's a 1-on-1.
Yeah.
And I had to stop the defense right away because a couple of them were getting to the blue line and just going back basically. They weren't closing the gap whatsoever. So that was the whole point of that drill is to get them to close the gap and skate properly. And there's still a lot of them crossing. I think people think they're going to go faster if they cross over because you're so busy. But I know the national team did research on that, and it's much faster skating backwards, striding backwards instead of crossing over all the time. And like you said, in any sport, you cross over, you're in trouble. A good forward gets you crossing one way.
No.
They go the other way. You can't go 2 ways at once. So, so it's a essential skill that has to be worked on for sure.
Well, I think we've beaten the defensive backward skating to death. Everybody's going to play against players that you're afraid of that can burn you. And McDavid is the greatest example. And I think a number of years ago, they gave up the blue line and tried to play him conventionally, striding, keeping him on the outside, rotating and mohawking to keep him on the outside. And it just didn't help. So I think the problem has been solved by closing the gap, like you said, Hal, in the neutral zone. You mentioned having the D step up at the red line and the
yeah.
other partner supporting them. Can you elaborate on that? Because that to me is what's happening against the best players at the highest level.
Well, if you watch, and again, we're talking about minor hockey, youth hockey. That forward that gets the puck on the breakout and starts heading up ice, they get their head down about half the time. They're trying to get up and get going and get some speed. And of course, the defensemen are just backing up, giving them the space and time to get speed. And I would selectively encourage them instead of backing up from the blue line, is just go right at them, go right at the stick and disrupt them. Now you got to be careful. You got to have body position so they don't cut inside on you and take off and go. So that's the severest level of it. But they have to judge speed of the opponent and try to get enough speed so they can execute and transition from backwards to forwards and or slide across and just take if the opponent the attacker has got their head down a lot because everybody plays the game pretty much the same. They take the puck and they go outside. We've been teaching for years go outside with speed. And if you can keep that gap close enough, you can cut them off and neutralize, or at least disrupt the play, which allows your teammates to come back and participate in the defensive side of the puck. So it's not clean. It's sometimes a little messy, but it works.
Well, when I
Most,
play against guys that played a lot,
yeah,
like Bob Murdoch played with us forever. And if I'm playing the wing against him, you get a pass and he's right in your face. Where other guys, you get a pass and they're backing up already through the neutral zone. Murdoch was within a stick length of you. He closed the gap right away on you. And
yeah,
and the other thing is, guys that played a lot, like Murdoch, they pass to the center. That's their first look all the time.
to the
The
center.
center's open, the center gets the puck. Everybody else skates at the winger, takes their checker right towards the winger, and then passes to the poor winger who's already got his players on him. So Murdoch always talked about you get between the dots, and you feed from there, and that's a difference. And we're teaching our players, like you talked about, everybody goes wide. We do all opposite. Like Finland stresses play in the big ice between the dots.
Yeah,
So all the stuff we do, they have to get between the dots with the puck. And then you have options where, of course, the defense wants you against the boards, right? You don't have very many options. You're not very dangerous out there.
right.
And I talked to the players. And I said, right now we're playing backwards. You get the puck and you go wide where the defense wants you, and then you pass to a player in the middle who has their whole team is in the middle. And you're taking a
Yeah,
pass like that, the defense right in your face, and so it's got to be opposite. I think Gretzky and Curry, I saw them play so much, they always created a 2-on-1 on the widest player. So Curry would be on the right wing, he'd cut across, Gretzky take the ice behind, he'd give it to him, and Gretzky would go wide, and Curry would do different things, and Gretzky would read whether the D dipped back down or not, and they always set up that 2-on-1, and then the other guy went to the net, and that's creating 2-on-1s all over the ice is really what the whole point of the game is. And
yeah.
someone taking the ice behind me. That's what the Russians did all the time. Always get to the inside, someone took the ice behind them, and then someone took the ice behind them, you know, and then you hang on to the puck and you make plays and you cause confusion.
You know,
The Russians were amazing.
at U13, to me, I don't talk about creating a 2-on-1 and crossing and dropping yet because the first step is to be able to drive skate to the net. And being able to execute an inside fake, a wide lateral move, accelerating out of the range of the poke check, but driving to the net because at U13, most forwards go wider and wider and they have a bad shooting angle. And they could drive to the net. They've got to get that leg out and that arm out. And I actually am offering $5 to the coaches to reward a drive skate penalty because if you do that and you've got the wide winger driving or the middle winger driving, you're going to have some real good chances. But they've got to learn to drive skate. If they start getting fancy up top too early, well, you lose your attack ability, especially with an attack triangle. with sort of a drive trail kind of concept on a 2-on-1. That's my thinking anyway, Tom. I don't know. It might be old school, but
It's a different skill. I mean, you do you do a cross and drop, you pass wide, and that player cuts to the net. It doesn't mean you don't go to the net. It's just you create 2-on-1s. You have close support
yeah,
instead of everybody just skating lanes straight down the ice. The
yeah.
puck carrier is there. There's no, there's no simple play. It's all about creating 2-on-1s. That's what Gretzky said. That's all hockey is. Create 2-on-1s and give and go. That's what the game is.
So with a center drive and Paquet is on the outside now should have the ability to go to the inside if F2 is driving the net. Gives F1 gives them three options or four if F3 is kind of hanging around on the top. Um, and you should get if you have a pure 3-on-2, which doesn't happen all that often, um, you should have a good scoring chance if you can get the kids to shoot the pucks. Um, One of the things I noticed when I was coaching girls before is they'll come down the outside, they'll get to the hash mark, can't think of anything to do, and they just sort of lob it at the goalie. They play catch with the goalie, and then the play is dead. And we got to try to eliminate that. The boys do the same thing. Um, make a play. I always say, make a play. Try something. Don't just go all the way down to the hash marks and quit. And you're not going to score from out there. If you do, it's because the goalie is out to lunch. And but how much time do you guys spend working on shooting?
Well, we have once every 2 weeks they go to a shooting place and shoot. Like
Yeah,
they take a lot of shots in my practices, and
yeah,
we we'll do one timers. They get there and pass the partner four. They take turns doing 4 shots.
yeah.
Like I would pass to you and then skate backwards. You pass to me, and I take a one timer
Right. We do those
and
too.
do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
I
good
just
stuff.
like to answer that question for you. GHC, they have 1 day a week of shooting
Hmm.
scheduled with a professional shooting instructor. They put their skates on and they're on plastic ice, a number of sheets in small area with nets, and they are working on all kinds of shots. And it's really paid off. Like now, our U13 level, they can shooting from the point is now a threat. It's not like a long set shot, a lob to the net. They can place that puck. They can put some mustard on it. And one thing I want to mention, Tom, all these girls coming up now, and hell, they're not looking at the puck as much. Their first thing they're doing is looking around,
Yeah.
and I am blown away by their ability to get their heads up and see the ice and move the puck. So I'm really optimistic about the next number of years and
Oh, the
watching
girls.
kids
Yeah.
progress to the next level. And
Yeah.
Tom, you're the benefactor of some of those players graduating to you. And I watched your game on the weekend, and boy, they played some possession hockey. I mean, in boys hockey, it's sort of dump and chase and pressure on forecheck. And some teams, that's their offense, dump and forecheck.
Yeah.
And there's times that's got to be part of it. But being able to control that puck and possess it and share it, uh, it creates so much more in the long run.
and you read, there's a time and a place, right? I mean, if you can't go back and they've got a good gap on you, then you put the puck in behind them. Sometimes you got a good gap and you turn back, give it to the D and regroup and attack again. It's all reading, read what they give it, take what they give you, right?
Oh, Tom, do
We were
you,
working on that cutting in, and I told the girls, I said, if you've got your shoulder in front, take that lane, cut right in front of them, and you're between them and the net now. They've lost T side. So it's reading, it's all reading what they give you, and then having the skill to do it too, right?
I got to make
you,
a point here, Hal.
yeah,
You've worked on breakouts, but I had a coach, U13, Lee Isaac. Unbelievable what he did. He worked with the D only at one end. He dumped the puck in, and the partner was out there with him, and the other two D were sort of being simulating wingers on the board, supporting the puck. But he went at the puck carrier, forcing him to use the D to D because he definitely took away the near side. And he did it both ways. Everybody took a turn at shoulder checking, retrieving, and reading his pressure. So I've seen coaches dump the puck in and forecheck and not teach them how to angle and therefore teach the forward or the defender where the open ice is, where the space is, how to use the open teammate. And that's a critical phase. So he pressured from the outside in on the D. They went D to D. It was his first drill. I thought that's brilliant because at that level, Tom, you've coached it, they don't go D to D at all. And really, your D partner's often the most open player.
I don't know if they don't do D to D at all.
Well, at U13 that I'm watching and watching them go to the provincials, uh, I mean, I've watched it for 2 years and they just don't use the width of the rink and their partner back there to open up the ice. Not enough anyway. At your level, they do it, they use each other, but I mean, watching games, I'm watching the puck jammed up the boards. You can see literally 8 of the players battling on the boards versus move it to open ice, create some space. You've got room to get open and use it. So D to D to me, hell is a statistic. That's a statistic I would keep. And I would cheer every time there's a D to D pass at the bench. Reward it, just praise it. And praise it when they come back to the bench because they're quarterbacks back there. And
so
we
the,
have to change the mindset of how they play from being a fullback or a running back to being a quarterback. And you got two quarterbacks on the ice at once that work together. Breakout's not going to be a problem.
we'll do a breakout drill and they've got, depends what level I'm coaching. They have 5 seconds to get to the blue line with the puck. And, or somebody has to get there with it. And so it puts a sense of urgency into them because they tend to get back and retrieve the puck and kind of lollygag, want to get them going. And then, the one option that they don't often see or want to do is literally just skating the puck. Grab the puck and, if there's space, because where's the forecheck going? The forecheck's going to the wing quite often. And if there's space, through the middle, at least take a couple strides there and the whole dynamics change. because you start attracting uh, opponents. But if when that happens, then you have teammates that are now open. So,
Yeah, a lot of
but
times I'll have them, I don't allow them to pass the puck till they get to the hash. So they're not just going around and, you know, the lesson is once you do what you just said, they skate with it, the D can't hold the blue line anymore, right?
right,
The D has to back up. If you just get the
yep,
puck and rim it, they're in there, they're gonna pinch and all this. But if you
yep,
can get that puck and you're skating up ice, they have to bail, and now all of a sudden it changes everything.
got all sorts of options. The other one that the other thing we do what I call a breakout pass drill with lines on both sides at hash mark and above. And the first player takes the puck and goes down inside around the net, but they pass. They have to pass when they're right behind the net. They can't skate past the net 3 strides and then pass to their teammate on the wall, because that getting that pass to the wing in a timely, really quick is really important. And then we'll do passes on the rail, not direct passes, and that winger's got to kick it out and do that. But and then the skater continues and gets a pass back from their teammate on the wall, and then and goes up ice and passes to a coach. Meantime, the one on the other wall is now taken off and coming around the other side. So we get a coach to stand down at the net, sort of with their stick, or encouraging them to pass now, pass now. Don't get clear of the net before you pass because you've lost 1.5 or 2 seconds, and now your teammate's going to be covered. So I just call it. There's a couple different variations you can do with it, but it's a breakout pass drill that encourages them to get their head up. And then if you really want to get creative about it, you can send a coach to take that outside pass away so they don't get into a remote habit. Because I think there's too much of that goes on in the game too. Just go the same place all the time.
Hell,
So,
that's what I'm saying is that defender, he'll carry the puck too far.
yeah,
It's a short pass, it's not going to gain an advantage.
right.
They're checked into traffic.
Yeah,
So passing early is important.
yeah,
I'm adding an element to that. That defender who's skating with the puck, if the winger's covered, he carries it wider. He's got an angle now up the middle,
yeah,
so he can hit the center. And Tom did some deliberate progressions with me. We want that winger to go to the goal line at practice, not at the hash, not standing still, but receive it moving
I like that.
before the hash mark. And in games, it's a habit. You want them to support lower, closer. And the rule for the winger is low, quick, good target facing the puck. The center mirrors late, slow and low.
Yeah,
He stays behind the D. So he's available for that second pass. And that way you create two options and you're not telegraphing things. An advanced stage is coming around the net, looking at the winger, but passing to the center, pass deception. And a friend of mine who played in the NHL, Brad Barenka, he ran a hockey school, 5-on-0 breakouts. And every breakout pass had to be a look away. So he didn't work on telegraphing. He worked on looking one way, passing another. Now, that's pretty advanced, but he did it at a hockey school with U15 kids. It was an idea that I've never yet seen done, but I thought, boy, um, especially at the highest level. When you watch the NHL, there's very few telegraph passes. There's that little look one way, pass the other, a little fake, little deception before they'll pass.
I like that. I'm going to use it this year.
Well,
That's
I've
great.
talked about Craig Levy, he played for the North Stars for a while, and he plays Tuesday nights with us. And if you just go and you pass, it's like you're passing to him. He reads your eyes and your body language. If you don't make a fake pass, you're passing to Levy on the other side. Because he just reads it so well and he's such a great skater. So it's
He's
a really
still a good.
important skill.
Is that
Still,
5-on-0 a full ice, or could you do that? You could do that on half ice too.
well, I like that idea. I like the idea of more space, reduce numbers, and that way you have time to look one way. If you tried to do it 5-on-5, you wouldn't have that much success. But
Right.
you forecheck two, that's enough. I think they could figure it out and be deceptive.
I
Um,
like I like that.
Now, hell, the one thing that I always teach, the first breakout is an evasive tight turn by the D. They look like they're going behind the net. They've got somebody on them. They fake inside and they turn to the wall and get their feet moving. The winger's there, the center's there with timing. And that evasive tight turn creates time and space. Now, the other players have to read you time and support. So I teach the evasive tight turn and breakout. That is your breakout at just about any level. If you can do an evasive tight turn, you're going to have time to move the puck or look one way past the other. It's the first tactical skill, offensive tactical skill that really pays off at both ends. Breakout and low zone possession, where you're tight turning, getting away, escaping, up the
Um,
wall, walking the seam, all those things. So, uh, Tom, we've worked on those tight turns, and I watched you go around the rink and have them tight turn and go the other way. And they're doing more and more of that. They're getting really good at it because of that.
Well, almost every second practice or warm up for 2 or 3 minutes, they skate around the ice and at every dot they make a move. And then when I blow the whistle once, they have to tight turn towards the boards, take 3 hard strides. I'll do that a few times and then I'll blow the whistle within, tweet, and they got to tight turn one way, tight turn the other way. Just to, because that's, like you say, it's a really critical skill for breakouts. There's also a critical skill if you're hanging out of the puck and you're trying to, protect the puck in the offensive zone or whatever. So it's a good little warm up. And yesterday with the zigzag, we always do 4 different things. So the first thing yesterday we did, they had the puck on the forehand side, but they couldn't stick handle. So they had to go around without crossing their hands, had to go around and then open their shoulders up and skate around the puck. That's a real Johanny thing. Uh, and they do 3 between the ringette line and the blue line one way, then they do crossover skating like McDavid to the other, and then they go right one way and left the other way. And so we do 4 different kinds of skating every time. So but it's a good little drill as well.
Tom, you've got 3 practices a week.
Well, this week, but usually it's 2. Once we get the regular season, it's basically we practice Tuesday and Thursday, and we do the fitness and shooting either Monday or Wednesday. Play on the weekend.
Hal, what's your schedule in a week?
Well, this year it'll be um, 2 solo practices a week and 2 joint practices a week. So we will be on the ice 4 times a week, and then we play 2 games a week. You know, in high school we don't play on Sun. There's no ice on Sunday, no games, nothing on Sundays.
Can you explain solo and what was the other one?
Oh, joint. All right,
Joint.
so we will skate. This is a junior varsity team, and we will skate actually at a different arena 2 days a week, all by ourselves. So I got full ice. And then other 2 days, we will skate with the varsity, a little crowded. There'll be 35 players on the ice and 6 coaches. And the varsity coach will run most of that practice, except for the last 30 minutes. I think they're an hour and a half. And then I will have my second, third, and fourth line and my D on half that ice sheet, and he'll have the rest of them on his half of the ice. So, you know, we haven't outlined exactly what's going to happen and all this stuff. So I'm just waiting. So I have to have sort of 2 different kinds of ways to practice. And maybe 2 days a week, it's going to be more, you know, sort of, I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't figured. And as I was saying to my new assistant coach, she just graduated from college, played at no, where did she play? Gustavus, I think. But she's been a skills coach in the summer to make money, but she's never coached a team. So I'm going to have to help her learn to coach. But I got to see what the skill levels are before and prioritize where we can make the most difference with the kids on a skill basis and then also on a team play basis. So that'll take a couple of weeks to sort of sort that out before I figure out what our 2 days a week are really going to look like. One thing I do know is we will do cross ice hockey for like 20 minutes and with constraints and rules. And then we'll go into the hard skills and do some skating stuff, passing things, and then we'll do our game skills after that. So I don't know. Looks like it'll be pretty fun, I think.
Hal, do you really need a whole ice to practice?
Do we?
What you're practicing.
Pardon?
Well, it depends what you're practicing. I mean, just half ice restricts a lot. I did that U13 3 years ago, and we always had half ice. And you're very restricted because of the half ice. But
Yeah.
last night we finished off with a game at each end. It's 3-on-3, and you pass a point to go on offense. And Hal could do that with when he's got half the team there because it's a really good competitive game. So, but having half ice is a very different practice than full ice. Like last night, I think these players are pretty good. So I got my 3 assistant coaches all to run a drill we've never done before, and they're advanced drills. And the girls were able to do them, but they're full ice drills.
Well, I prefer to have half ice practice. I don't need whole ice because you can work on one skills half ice.
Yeah.
You can work on small numbers and teaching the one-on-one. And research is showing, Tom, Dean just provided that article. The game is 40% one-on-one. So your practice
Also played on full ice. Every
Oh,
zone is a different.
in-
Every zone is a different read.
yeah, well, I know there is. I'm just saying.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying that I mean, the game is played on full ice. You can do a lot of things on part ice,
Yeah,
half ice. Like the other day, I divided the ice into four parts.
yeah.
The goalie was inside the top of the circle. Top of the circle to the red line, there was one area. Then to the other top of the circle, and then top of the circle back. And there's four different things going on, and that was all cross ice, except for the net with a goalie.
Well, I know you're using all of your staff and you're using your ice really well. I'm just saying the complaint up here is 2 ice times a week isn't enough. So we're losing players to go to a league that provides 4 ice times a week. And that ice is an advantage. Most of the prep school, it's 4 days a week. And Tom, I brought the idea up with you.
Coach college 22 years. We always had four times a week.
Well, you're working out 4 times a week. I'm just saying ice time.
No, college was always four ice times.
Yeah. Well, we're talking developmentally getting 3 ice times, and I've always said two of your teams should practice. They can overlap, and you could have the ice for 30 minutes, whole ice. Then you
Well,
could.
Wally, you can compensate for that because all the research has a player actually moves in a full ice practice 7 to 11 minutes. And so they've got themselves 44 minutes of moving in four practices if they're great practices. So what you
Yep.
do is you have practices that they're moving 30 out of 60 minutes. And you can do that by planning your practice well, so
Yep.
they're moving just as much. My players move just as much in two practices as the Super Duper League does in four. I'll guarantee you that. Because I've gone with stopwatches and I've timed one player, and it's always around there between 7 and 11 minutes. And the rest of the time they're standing in line or listening to the coach babble on and on and on. So you just have to run better practices.
Tom, you know how to. Hell knows how to. I know how to. We're we're not talking about us running a
But
practice.
I say that's how you compensate for someone that has more ice
Well, I'm
time. You
not
run better
compensating. I'm
practices.
just saying I'm being more efficient because you use a small area. And hell, how do you find the half ice helping you? What do you find works for you using half ice?
Well, I got tired of it because that's all I really had when I was coaching Bantams last year for sure. And I asked the team manager to go buy me some whole ice, down the road a ways. And she says, "Well, it's at 3:45 in the afternoon." I went, "Perfect." And it was a little hard sometimes for the kids to get there. So there's some things, in my view, and even though we weren't allowed to ice the puck when we were shorthanded, uh, if kids grow up with that, that you can't ice the puck when you're shorthanded, how are they going to know how to play that when the puck can be iced? Because it's a strategic move. How do you put the pressure on? How do you steer? How do you defend and neutralize? And you can't teach that in a half ice deal. Alternately, if you're in the power play and you got to go back and retrieve, there's two or three or four ways to set up your retrieve and counterattack. You can't teach that in a half ice. And to me, the game is played on whole ice. So that's what I want to practice on. I might not use the whole ice through the whole practice. And like Tom was saying with his guys, I push, 35 to 45 minutes of what I call on task activity in a practice, whether it's half ice or it's full ice. This year, I think I'm going to have an hour and a half, which I think is too long. So I might not be in quite as big a rush at the beginning of practice to get them out there and we'll allow for a little more time for the kids to work on things kind of on their own a little bit. But Um, I think a mix of half and a mix of full ice is ideal. But it's funny you say that, Tom, because I figured out after last year, because our kids were tired after practice, because we just, in their hour, and we just keep moving, 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 moving. And then, if you do the math on it, if my practices are worth three practices of what the normal one is, okay, that's great. Well, then I can do that, but then why don't we go out and play another 10 or 15 games this year? And so we were scheduled to play 60 games this year. I think they're still, I'm not coaching that team anymore, but I think they're going to keep that in place. Because normally we were, like 45 or 50. Um, but in terms of getting the right mix between how much practice we're getting and how many games we're getting, um, I think the kids are getting plenty of ice time that way. So, and they got to play games too. It's important.
I think my team ended up with about 55 of each last year, I think.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's awesome, actually.
But we go a long time too. I mean, we went to mid-March last year.
Oh, well, it's because you were winning, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, get eliminated. The last games aren't. One
Yeah,
thing I like about this league I'm coaching in, there's 15 teams, they added a team, now there's 15 teams in the province, but everybody's in the playoffs.
yeah,
And that allows you to coach differently, like than if you're in a place where you have to make the playoffs.
yeah,
Because now your decisions, your bench management is pretty different. If there's no way in the world you can afford to lose this game. So this allows you to really, I like it because it allows you to develop everybody. And
yeah. In Minnesota, the youth game, everybody's in the playoffs, and the playoffs are double elimination. So if you lose one of your first two games, you can slide in the back door if you can now win three games.
yeah,
And it is, you're right, it's different. So
our
I think,
minor hockey league tournaments like that, but our
yeah.
playoffs were 2 or 3 series,
Oh,
and then the top 5 teams of the 15 go to the provincials.
oh, cool.
There's
I
two
like,
divisions. There's
yeah.
a north and a south. Like we're pretty far. Like it's an 8-hour drive to Grand Prairie.
Mm,
So
Well,
but what they do is they have one. It'll be in Lethbridge again. All 15 teams go and play in Lethbridge, and you play 3 games. So what you do is the southern teams play the northern teams to kind of because we play the other division once each, and that eliminates your need to drive to some of the real far away places in the middle of winter.
yeah.
But
I,
Do you guys have winter up there? I didn't know
yeah, this is just our league. I mean, every league is different.
that.
Peter, what were you doing with the outdoor rink?
We cleared it. I cleared an area out so that we can put one up for my grandson this fall, this winter. So it's been busy with that, and I'm planning a ride. Me and some friends are going on a little over 500 mile, kind of a forest road, dirt road type ride that we're going to do in a couple of weeks. So a lot of balls in the air today, but all good.
The
Yeah,
sore rear end driving dirt roads all the time.
yeah, it's all forest roads. It's pretty good. It's gravel roads, it's some maybe two track kind of stuff, but for the most part, gravel roads. Here and there, you got to jump on a paved road to get to the road, but the route itself is a little over 500 miles, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, I got quite a few guys that bike and they go on the humongous trips, like even right across the country back was thousands of miles.
Yeah, yeah, you got to have the time to do that. We do one in springtime, or that's early summer, late spring. That's usually between 1,500 and 2,000 miles. Um, but it's good. It's good. You get, it's always good to hang out. Yeah. It brings a similar type of that team atmosphere that I think we all are used to and feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
How many guys are driving at once?
It all depends. Like when we do the pavement stuff in the spring, that's usually 7 or 8 people. When we do the stuff with the dirt roads, it's usually 3 or 4. Some either don't have motorcycles that can go on the dirt road, or they just don't like the idea of riding on dirt roads. One or the other.
How is it riding a bike? How's your back?
My back is fine, right? I mean, it's all the ergonomics of the motorcycle. You need to get correct height of the handlebars, the seat, things like that. But that's all on the individual, right? Like I'm 6 foot, so everything's got to fit that person. Whereas somebody who is like 5'7" got on my motorcycle would feel really uncomfortable to them.
I got a friend, it's about my height, but he has a really unique thing he's done. He has a bike in Europe too. So what he does is he puts his hockey bag on there and a stick he has red tape on it, so he's trailing, and he travels around Europe and he goes to places. Say, you guys got men's hockey. He's a really good hockey player. He played at University of Manitoba, and he plays hockey with them. And he does this all over. Like he's so 10 years ago, I met him in Barcelona, and I played hockey with the Barcelona guys. But he's gone to Finland, he's Ireland, everywhere. He organized us a 12-day trip to Spain 10 years ago, and we toured
Wow.
around with all these guys that he'd met before on his bike tours.
Yeah, I mean that's the fun part of it because the guys that I ride with are as far north as for us, New Hampshire, up into New Hampshire, and then as south as Georgia. So there's a whole mix from all over the country too.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Tom, the guy that you're talking about, bike in Europe, how old was he? Is he when he was doing that?
Well, he was doing it up to last year. He's about 2 years younger than me. He
Wow.
just went all through BC about 1,500 miles and came
Married
back.
or
But
single?
he's being married.
You know, I'm
Like that
listening.
in BC, he stopped at one of his old girlfriend's house, I guess. So
Well, I'm listening to our story about our passion for the game and biking and passion. And I'm wondering here how all the time away, how the hell did we manage to keep our relationships going with our families? Because it's something now that, I'm alone and I look back on and it bothers me. I just get so caught up in it. You take yourself out of the picture. And how did you guys handle that? Peter?
Well, I I think that if your other half didn't approve, you would know. You would you would know right off the bat, I think, if you were getting support or not. And I mean, I was very lucky with my wife. It was I will say that, like, in credit to her, because she came from a very different type of family. Her dad was an engineer. Her her mother was a nurse. So they were essentially 9 to 5 type jobs. And on the weekends, they had their boat where they went out on the lake, and that's what they did. Whereas when I started, like we talked about in the past with the nursery, that's 7 days a week. And it doesn't care if it's 4th of July and there's a picnic. The plant's got to get watered. Whatever needs to be done needs to be done. So it was a real adjustment for her, but it's just her. I was fortunate with the personality that she has that she was all for it, and she learned a lot, and uh, it's I'm just lucky. I mean, really, you can't plan that, right? When you're young and you meet someone and you start dating and that, you really don't have that conversation, right? So I was fortunate.
Al, can you talk about your story in terms of a relationship and still being
Well, yeah. Well, with my first wife and now my second one, and we've been married 34 years now. First one didn't work out very well, but and didn't last very long. But I was already coaching hockey at that point because I started coaching at a pretty young age, at 21 or something. My second wife knew all about it, but she had a horse. And so she has her passion. In fact, she's still got a horse and she's there right now. And she'll be back there tonight. So she spends way more time with her horse than I spend with hockey on any given day. So yeah, and we have a son. I have a daughter with from my first wife. So um, hockey, I mean, literally has been part of my life since I was about 4 years old. And I was always pretty upfront about that. But, hockey was an evening activity, not a daytime activity. And other than traveling some to tournaments, but one of the things that's great about Minnesota, you don't travel very far. I mean, we've got hundreds of teams we can play right here in the Twin Cities. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been here, but that's a big advantage that we have. You can pick up the phone and schedule a game, 3 days from now, and if the ice is available, it's there. Um, so at some point, it just becomes part of the family culture. The only time that somebody squawked was Christmas, and I was traveling as a North American host for the Soviet junior national for the what was the Soviet junior team for the World Championships, which was being held here and in Winnipeg. And I spent 10 days on the road over Christmas on a bus with the Russians. And my grandmother was horrified. I said,
Well,
well,
the trick is you never at one point said that you were having any fun, right? It was like this
yeah,
the beds are no good, the
I
food isn't like
know.
yours, nobody cooks like you. I miss it
I know
all.
that.
How
But
far are you from Blaine?
from Blaine,
Yeah.
35 minutes.
Okay. Because I've been
Like,
there quite a bit back with that Knoll showcase back in the day.
oh yeah, I go up and watch that some. Um, and yeah, I'm going to watch a game there on Saturday with one of the
Okay.
kids I'm advising.
Yeah, in
So
college I was there pretty often
yeah,
with recruiting out of that, trying to recruit out of that league a bit.
so they're rebuilding those forefront rinks because um, those rinks are Olympic sheets, so they're going to downsize them, and they're really going to modify one of them for sled hockey and for the deaf. Not well. I was working with the deaf, so that's a light system that has to go on inside the arena. So when the ref blows the whistle, somebody pushes a button and the lights all start flashing. Um, so that they can see that they should quit playing.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting.
and so they're going to but for the sled hockey's gotten bigger, and they got to be able to get those sleds off the ice and they have to modify the player boxes so they have enough depth and room to put some guys on sleds in there. Because right now, what they do is they just sit around outside the doors of the box.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's great that they're doing that.
yeah, so they're spending a bunch of money. And I don't know how long has it been since you've been here? They have 8 rinks.
I mean, it's been a while, right? I mean, probably the last time I was out there was like maybe 2017, 2018.
Oh yeah, well they had all 8 rinks at that point. The
Yeah.
front four and the back four. I think they're adding another one or two just because they seem to be able to sell the ice time.
We got a place like that near us in Marlborough, Massachusetts. I think they're up to 8 sheets now.
It's
And
great.
our biggest in Calgary is 4, I think.
4.
Yeah, that's the Hockey Canada rink, and they have a sledge hockey, the big sheet and it's glass, so they can see through the boards, if
Yes.
they're on the bench,
Yeah, yeah.
and they do there. Peter, tell us about your Puerto Rican team.
Oh,
We haven't met since you
no,
coached those
that's right.
guys.
Down Coral, it was really, first off, it was really a great trip. I mean, it's funny I mean, we all have traveled all over, but what a small world it is because one of the officials who officiated my game is actually officiated my college games here up in Connecticut. He 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 had traveled, got hired and traveled down there. So that part was a small world. I got a good friend who was in. He's about an hour and a half away, I think, closer to Key West. So I got nothing to do. He drove an hour and a half to watch the team play one day, which was fun. And then I saw a young lady was walking in, complete hoodie and joggers with Post University, and she said, "I know you." And she used to play for the women at Post. So I mean, being a small world, it's crazy. As far as the hockey goes, the girls are getting better and better. We're beginning to add some Division 1 players to the roster, which is which is a big thing. Enough so that there's actually 2 teams at the women's level now, a Division 1 team, which will be hopefully someday be that top team that can compete with the Olympics, and then a Division 2 team with girls that can be maybe a feeder for that program. So that's moving on. I'm looking forward to doing some scouting this winter for them to see some of these girls. And now we can start to pick and choose a little bit about, hey, we do want this player, we don't want that player kind of thing. Like we decide who we want. And the tournament itself, we want 2-2. Um, Really one of the crazier tournaments I've ever been in, whereas we lost 2 games. We lost in the semifinals with a puck that went off the glass behind the net, came back, hit one of our defensemen in front, and literally fell onto the stick of the opponent on on the back side, on the back door,
Oh,
on the weak
geez.
side. Just literally
Tap in.
fell right there. She just pushed it in. And we lost another one with a puck coming off the bottom of the dasher, hitting someone and deflecting in. So, but they played well. They're a stronger group than what we had in New Jersey back in May when I did that tournament. So, bright future, I think. I think it's going in the right direction.
Well, that's kind of
Cool.
neat. Talking about this whole small hockey world, the guy I talked about with the motorcycle, he was with the Barcelona team in Finland. So they're sitting around having a beer, and one of the Finnish guys says, "Oh, you're from Calgary. Do you know Tom Malloy?" Says, "Oh yeah." So they phoned me from the bar in Finland to say hi.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not many people living in Calgary, right? I mean, it's not like it's a big city. That's funny. That's a small, yeah, but that's a great thing about the sport. Like, you're gonna find somebody that that you played with, that somebody who played with somebody who you know. I mean, it's amazing. That elite prospects has always been helpful for me because when I'm speaking with someone, I'm trying to make a connection. I always kind of look them up, and I'll tell you what, at least 80% of the time, you can find somebody that that maybe played with that individual.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. Is we went to watch the Yankees play in Minnesota when I was 17. So 4 of us went down there and we're in a campground. And these girls were talking to him. And they said, "Well, Canada." I said, "I know someone from Canada." We said, "Well, Canada's a pretty big place." And she says, "Well, I was in a marching band at the Calgary Stampede. And one of these guys was in the band at this high school about 4 blocks from my house. He knew the person she was talking about. It's like out of our whole country.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. But that's why you, again, like when you're in school, that's why you want to be part of things, right? You don't want to be your door, school door, back to your door. You want to be part of things. You
Yeah,
never know.
So when I was down in Argentina on a photography deal, and I posted some photos, and this guy that's a Facebook friend of mine, he says, are you here? At the time, I was in Buenos Aires, and I said, but I'm going down to Ushuaia. Ushuaia? I live there. And
There you go.
and he's a hockey player. That's why we were connected. And he said, "Where are you staying?" And I told him, he goes, "I'll be there in 10 minutes." And he came over and chatted with me. And and right now it's winter down there right now.
yeah.
Oh, it's spring down there. But they play all outdoor hockey. There's only like one rink and it's up in Buenos Aires. It's indoors.
Well, there's one guy on my site that's from down there at the very bottom. He kind of runs hockey and wherever he is down there.
Yeah. And then when I don't know which thing in the IIHF coaching symposium, but I'm kind of thinking it was in Prague. And a guy comes up to me and he goes, "I know you. My son learned to play defense on the video that you did on developing defensemen." That's I said, "Well, that's cool. That's kind of fun." So
Yeah,
he
but
was
was he
from,
any good?
oh, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
He was from Italy.
Okay.
Italians they skate backwards pretty good. They don't go forward. Oh God.
That's
Hey
funny.
boys, I better go do something. This was fun. You cheered me up. I needed cheering
Yeah.
up.
Good.
Well, you keep recovering.
I will. So we'll catch up with you guys next week. Hey?
Sure,
All right.
hell, look after
Yep.
yourself and get back to taking pictures again and catching a
Yep.
fish.
Yep. That's what I'm gonna do. So take care, boys.
Yeah,
Okay.
you too.
Yep, thank you. I can figure out how
Bye.
to turn this thing off.
I know. We just got to find the leave. I think it's lower right on my
Yeah,
computer.
the lower right-hand corner says
The little
leave.
person walking through a door.
I'm leaving. Bye-bye.
So yeah, so it's interesting. Hal was talking about Buenos Aires. So the Olympic Committee is always trying to come up with different sports. I don't know, just trying, I guess, trying to keep up with society a little bit. So, and I didn't know this, but last Summer Olympics, when they had the Summer Olympics, they had a breakdancing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But now, hockey wise, they're they have a pilot program to do 3-on-3 tournament into the Olympics. And it's
yeah.
got a whole different set of rules. You're not on a full sheet going 3-on-3. It's got different set of rules. The markings are different. And they're doing that uh, down in Buenos Aires in November. Coach asked me to go, but I'm not going to be able to make that because at that point I'm doing my broadcasting and I'm committed to the university to do that. But they're they're going to have a 3-on-3 women's tournament down there.
Well, that'd be neat.
Yeah,
The curling rinks that they turn into hockey rinks are the perfect size for 3-on-3.
and that might be it. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it's
Yeah,
got to be
there's
an
one
indoor
one
rink, right?
community they did that. They put boards around the curling rink, and guys go play 3-on-3 there, and they just love it. You know,
Yeah, because it's got to be an indoor rink right at that point. Because if it's spring
yeah,
now, November, it'll be late spring, early
yeah,
summer, maybe.
yeah. They're totally back opposite us.
Yeah, and Argentina, I mean, like their team was really good. That tournament that we were in Florida, Argentina won the whole thing.
Yeah,
They get a good program. So it's growing in those very non-traditional hockey places.
yeah. Well, I get some videos sometime from the Himalayas. They play there. and people are sitting in trees and everything watching the game. It's my friend Johanny was supposed to go there one time, and India and Pakistan started having a war, so he didn't go.
Yeah, yeah. But all good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
so
yeah, I'm gonna
glad you
scoot.
got on anyway. Haven't seen you for a long time.
No, I know. I appreciate that. It's good to see everybody for sure. And I'll hopefully next week should work, I think. Yeah, I think next week will work. And then after that'll be the week that we're starting our trip.
Yeah.
Peter, is there anybody in your circle of friends that would be a good person to bring on just to give us a different angle on anything?
I think if we could get the coach of the women's team on the women's Puerto Rican team on would be great. I can work on that. He's a pretty busy human being. So he coaches that team. He's also an author. He also owns two different companies. One is a broadcast company where um, he's got an award-winning podcast that he does. And then he also has a company where he makes a type of hockey equipment. So he'll make pucks for outdoor use. He'll make
Oh,
protectors for your blades. He's a real entrepreneur. So if I can nail him down, I'll try to do that.
Well, work on that. It would be really interesting.
Yeah,
Not
I think
just
it'd be good.
the hockey, but what you said about his background and what he's doing. I just be
oh,
curious,
sorry.
how did he get to that point?
Yeah, yeah. He's interesting, driven, interesting guy.
This guy from Argentina, he makes his own sticks and stuff because
Oh,
it's
wow.
really hard to get stuff there.
Wooden sticks he makes, or
Matthew Meinsner is his name.
huh?
Hoping I can get his what the cities in. But yeah,
Guys, I'm a little different than all of you. I got nothing to do all day, so I've been watching soccer, and the Canadian soccer team's done quite well. They won their first ever two games in Europe, beating Romania 3-0, and yesterday beating Wales 1-0. And during the game, ah, TSN, the TV channel, played a commercial, Carlsberg liquor. And we're talking hockey, and now you're talking all these countries around the world that play hockey. And in Canada right now, soccer, it's sort of it's something that more people are identifying with in this country. And the commercial I'd like to share with you. Just I want to experiment with that technology of being able to share screen. So if you guys would bear with me.
Sure. Soccer's such an interesting sport because it's funny, right? If you look at the size of the net in soccer and the scores are typically so low,
Yeah.
I always found that fascinating. And basketball has about a 2 inch grace period around the size of the ball to the cylinder of the hoop, and it is the highest scoring game. So it's
yeah,
interesting.
It is different. Like, not people can watch different sports. There's some people who hate curling. Some people love baseball. And because I have a son-in-law who's a soccer guy, I've gotten to watch lots of soccer and appreciate it. I guess my point is, um, sports is sort of the only thing that brings people together. And here you are, all of us have been around the world with the sport, but it's only been hockey. So I'm going to bring up this. Can you guys see my screen?
I see it.
I
Yeah.
can now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to play with this. It's a commercial. I'm not sure how good the recording is, but we'll just play through it.
We're different. We share in the events while cheering on our motherlands and each other's lands. Soccer is in our hearts. Our roots are on display, not to divide, but to unite. Because to us, soccer's more than just a game. It's who we are. Coast to coast to coast, it connects us all. Cheers to us. Cheers to the game. Gatorade. Electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. The fly. Delivery.
Well, that's it. Did you hear it?
I did. Yeah, it was a little garbled, but I mean, I figured out what it was about. So let me ask you this: you said a son-in-law that's involved with soccer.
Yep.
How does the soccer players get along with the hockey players? And the only reason I mention that is I don't know if you ever saw the video of it's called The Difference Between Soccer and Hockey. And they show the soccer players, someone comes near them and they explode onto the ground and writhe around, right? Trying to draw, I guess, a yellow card. And then they show the video of Ovechkin's on the bench waiting for a shift. A puck comes, hits him in the side of the face. He essentially wrinkles his nose and gives his head a shake and then goes out for a shift.
Well, I think we're all part of the hockey toughness thing, and we took it to the extreme. It's like Bobby Bond broke his leg and finished the playoffs.
I've seen that video. That's an incredible video. And they're just talking about it so matter of factly, right? He says, "Yeah, right now they got me pretty numbed up. I can't feel my leg." Oh, that's not good.
I think he
But
scored the big goal too.
yeah,
He
yeah,
wasn't a goal scorer,
crazy.
the defensive defenseman.
Yeah, crazy.
But
Well, you're
soccer, there's only one ref. So they try to work that, eh?
Yeah.
The guy catches the end of something, he doesn't see how it really.
you know
We had an occurrence our last game. Our girl's racing, and at about the dot, I think she touched skates with the player she's racing with, and the ice was fairly fresh. And she goes into the boards, puts her hands up, and she's injured her wrist, and she hit her head too. And this ref at the other end said that their girl tripped her and hit her over the head with a stick. And
Wow.
I got one of the players to video that was sitting out, and the player did nothing. I don't even know if she knew that the girl hit her skate. So I got the clip and I sent it to their coach and I said, they want to suspend her, have them look at this.
Yeah, again, it looks different from different angles, right? I've had
Yeah,
that where I've sent in video after games and saying I don't understand why this is a penalty, or I don't understand why that isn't a penalty, and getting
and I think in soccer, they're hoping they'll catch the ref kind of catching the corner of their eye and then seeing something. And
throwing a card up because, well, I guess something must have happened.
yeah,
Tom, I'm assuming over the years, because you coach so many different sports, do you watch soccer?
I lived in Austria that one year and that's all that was on. So
Yeah.
I watched and, it's a pretty tough sport. And I
With,
went to a few live games.
in terms of your question, Peter, this is my opinion. When I watch games with my son-in-law and I see a dive, which is often, it's part of the game. And it's sort of becoming part of the game in hockey. where you get embellishment calls. And in soccer, it's almost a part of the game that turns you off, but when you learn to accept it and realize right or wrong, they're acting. They might be taken down, lost their balance, but they're exaggerating that contact. So it's no different in my mind than ice hockey, except it occurs a lot more frequently. But I think recently embellishment and calling double penalties, that's becoming pretty common now in hockey. What do you guys think?
Remember in the playoffs last year,
Yeah.
that guy got hit from behind, right into the board's face first, and he got a penalty for embellishment. And I can't remember which one. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I don't think they quite have it perfected yet as far as necessarily consistently making the proper call. Again, well, and Tom, to your point, you catch something out of the corner of your eye and it might look a certain way that I think they have, and I don't like the idea because I think it really slows down the game, but those types of penalties, they almost have to review them. You almost have to be able to, like, if you're a coach, have the ability to have the challenge and then have some sort of punitive um, result if you challenge and you're wrong. But I mean, that's really the only way I think to deal with something like that because you get face planted, which is bad enough, and then in the meantime, someone says, "Oh yeah, you also have a penalty." That's kind of tough. That can be kind of tough to take.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for both of you. I'm watching baseball. You can see whether it's a ball or a strike. The camera, the showing of the cage, the batter's cage, the graphics. And I'm thinking, at what point do you need a referee or an umpire?
Yeah,
No, well, they
the
do that, but
umpire.
it takes a human element out of the game. I hate these reviews. I hate going to the games, and they take 5 minutes. I think they should have a 1 minute they can look at it because they get half a second in a game, right?
Yeah.
And it takes the flow out of the entire game.
Yeah, and
So I know what you're saying.
you have to have the umpire there too at home plate because of the plays at home plate, right? Are
Yeah.
they safe? Are they not? There's also some other things. If they judge a ball hit someone, things that you need the immediate kind of call with. But it's interesting, like because they use that, from what I understand, they use that when they evaluate the umpires at the end of the year. So depending upon how much the box agrees with you, I think impacts the level that you're able to play or not play, but officiate come the playoffs.
Well, Peter, your original question was, what does a hockey player think of a soccer player? um, well, we're hockey players, and I now appreciate all sports. Like my sports were football, wrestling, and track. A number of years coaching those sports, and they're so different, but they're sports, and I have so much respect for despite the ups and downs of officiating and penalties or not penalties, taking dives or not. Um, I've just come to, okay, that's the nature of the soccer game. And it's part of the game. It doesn't bother me anymore, but it bothers the fans. It bothers my son in law. And quite often I hear about it after from my son in law. And just like Tom mentioned, the penalty that was called on his girl, he had the video, and showed it to the other coach. It's that,
Oh, no, it was on their girl. My girl's the one that got hurt.
okay. And
But I
she,
didn't want girl to get suspended for
no, but
something that
that's
never
really,
happened.
it's what I call integrity coaching. You're supporting, you realize the player, you want the right thing to come of it. And I think that's what we're talking about here is that sports teach you make mistakes, officials make mistakes, players
Yeah,
make mistakes, and
no, for sure. And I gotta tell you, with soccer too, just the things that those guys can do with a soccer ball, like, and
Unbelievable.
see a player can take a ball with their left foot, put it over their shoulder behind their head, pass to themselves on their right foot while they're moving. That's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, they're unbelievable.
now I will say one thing about soccer. I don't believe women's soccer is into diving. I I've watched a lot of it, and they compete.
No, I agree with that because at the university when I was there, we always made a point to support other programs, and we weren't quite getting going yet with our team with practices when soccer was in full bloom. So we would make sure we'd go to the men's and the women's soccer games on campus. And you're 100% right. You don't see it. You don't see it, or at least you certainly don't see it to any degree where it seems so blatant compared to the men. But like you said, that's part of the game. And the interaction too, like I don't know what you see, but at least what I saw at the collegiate level, the interaction between the players and the officials, like it's incredible. Some of the stuff that goes on, I'm thinking that's a 2 and a 10 all day long in hockey, but again, seems to be part of the game in soccer where they're verbally, arguing with officials as the play is going on,
Well, like
or
basketball, the coaches running up and down, yelling at the ref all the time.
yeah, yeah. But to see the players doing it and it's completely accepted because the officials are interacting with them. I mean, it's got to get really bad before they give them a red card. It's again why it's part of the game at certain levels.
When you've coached Peter at whatever level, but I'm thinking college, and Tom, you've coached every level. Have you ever had a problem with players talking to officials, reacting to calls?
Have
I've
I?
had some, but not that many.
I've had it happen. I've never had a problem with it because honestly, as soon as it happens, the player becomes the one with the problem. He's got to deal with me dishing out the proper discipline because of what you just did. I had a rule that if you got a misconduct penalty for mouthing off to the referee, you were done for the game. And I did that at the college level. And sometimes it was one of your better guys, and it was hard to do and probably hard for some of the other players to take. However, watching them learn that that was the rule and self-policing, like guys actually skating up to that kid on the ice and just pulling him away immediately so that they didn't run their mouth and the kid could just keep playing, go to the box, serve your two, and just keep playing.
Yeah.
So it actually served a little bit of a purpose for me.
You
Well,
know,
that's a good idea. I got to get going too,
okay,
but I got to walk my dog before I.
guys, thanks very much. Anytime we get on, I could ask a sports question, a hockey question, and it leads to valuable stuff. So, Peter, thank you so much for coming on and work on that guest for us.
Yep, I will.
And Tom and Peter, I'm more interested in Peter in holy cow, how did he get into doing what he's doing, given what he's already got on his plate? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
you
It's
know,
not a straight road. Very often, a lot of our careers are not straight roads. They would make really good motorcycle roads. They're pretty winding.
Well, I think to all the coaches out there, thank you because their stories are the same. They're like Tom and I are fine, and you're fine. We're not doing it for a living anymore. We're doing it because we just love it and got nothing else to do. But you look at the volunteer coaches, the time they put in, the jobs they've got, the commitment they've got. And yes, their kids are there, but as long as they're there for the right reason and
Yep,
holding
that's the
our kids
bottom line.
accountable and creating a team atmosphere, uh, I'll be with them all the way. So,
You got that right. No kid ever won a Stanley Cup because they won a game in youth hockey.
no, but when they grow up, they're going to be pretty decent people.
Hopefully, yeah. That's the plan.
Okay, guys, take care and
Take care.
It's two.
okay, bye bye.
See you later.
Okay.